Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Happy Monday. My name is Chrissy Clark. I am filling in for the wonderful, the fabulous Isabel Brown. Your wonderful host will be back tomorrow. I was chatting with her. She just landed from New Zealand where she was fighting for the right to life all across the world. What a total awesome human being she is, right? And I'm so excited to hear more about it and tune into the stream tomorrow. And I know for a fact she's very excited to be back with you guys. But in the interim, y'all are stuck with me. And I'm so excited to be with you guys today. I see some people from previous streams. I see some new peeps. I'm just so happy to be chatting with you guys today. So let's run through everything that we're going to be talking about today because there's quite a lot. We are going to be talking about the return of Tucker, okay? Tucker is back with a huge announcement. We're going to go through that. We're also going to talk about the end of Dylan Mulvaney, my thoughts on it, and Dylan Mulvaney tried to culturally appropriate me, and I am not cool with it, okay? We also have this ridiculous Politico story, a student who failed a quiz for saying men can't get pregnant, an Obama movie little tidbit of a movie that Obamas were directing was released, and it's quite telling of their POV. And I want to read some of the Babylon Bee headlines from the weekend, which is really just a case of satire. So I'm so excited. So excited to be talking about all these things with you. So without further ado, let's get started. We're going to start with the return of Tucker. Obviously. So huge news dropped today from none other than Mr. Tucker Carlson saying, today, Tucker officially launched his new media venture, the Tucker Carlson Network. News coverage in the West has become a tool of repression, is what he wrote. Reporters no longer reveal essential information to the public. They work to hide it. We plan to tell the truth about things that matter clearly and without fear, Carlson said in a statement. So this is Tucker's new media venture. It's not incredibly different from what he was doing before, but just some more, kind of behind the paywall stuff. Now, I'm interested in hearing how you guys feel about Tucker. If you would just, drop a comment and let me know what is up with your thoughts on that. But I am very interested. Now, I work for the Daily Caller, if you guys don't already know that, which is owned or was owned by Tucker Carlson. So that's not to say I have like I can't say something, but I have a good opinion of Tucker generally because I work for an outlet he previously formed, and I love the way that the culture works there, and I just love my place of employment, generally speaking. So with that being said, I'm excited to see an expansion of that because I like where I work now. So I'm excited to see the expansion of that with what Tucker does on this new platform. And I'm excited to see, other interviews that other people won't do. I watched that Alex Jones interview that he just did. And again, I think that Alex Jones, like the dirty little secret about him is that he plays a character on TV. And it was just cool to watch him kind of be himself and less of the character on the show with Tucker. And I think it's a good thing to have these kind of conversations that no one else will do. I think the only person that's kind of like, I'll have anybody on my show, I don't give a crap right now, is Megyn Kelly. She's kind of the only other person out there that's willing to do that. So I definitely think it's a good thing to have more, not less, of people who are willing to just talk to anybody that have massive platforms. And I'm seeing from the comments that you guys think he's an anomaly in the media and that this is really great for him. And I do think obviously that it's really great for him, but also it's just nice to see people who are good people and who can retract their words and apologize for things. It's nice to see them get ahead because you don't always see that. You see a lot of bad people get ahead in this industry because they get big platforms and they continue to do their stupid things, and then they make their employees sign pieces of paper and then they can't talk about it, right? So you see this all the time. It's not specific to one person or one thing. It's a very common thing on both sides of the media aisle. So to have somebody like Tucker, who is not just like a wonderful person, but a wonderful person at his job. It's good to see people succeed. And it's good to see him succeed post everything that happened with Fox News. Now, what I am curious about, because I have no clue what's going on there, is what in the world is going to go on with Fox? Like, there's no real update about what happened with Tucker Carlson and Fox News. Now, we know that he was in a contract with Fox over, his show and everything, and that they didn't actually fire him, from my understanding. They just kind of like canceled the show without firing him. And we have no update on that. And I believe he is going on, or he just finished up going on the Megyn Kelly show right now, announcing everything. So that podcast will be out soon. So maybe Isabel will touch on it tomorrow and give you a little update about it. I don't know. But I just find it to be wildly interesting because, he has this new media venture. He's out there on X now doing some of the best shows he's ever done. But we don't have answers to, like, are you suing Fox? Is Fox suing you? Did you settle your disagreements? Did you get the rest of the payout? Like, I kind of want to know. I don't know about you guys, but I want to know. So please let me know your thoughts on this. And yeah, I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Anyway, I'm going to move right along into our next story, which is about none other than Dylan Mulvaney. Now, traditionally, I will say, I don't mind going after Dylan Mulvaney when Dylan Mulvaney does something stupid, okay? I have no problem talking about this person. I think this person is ill in the mind. But I do think that when there are a lot of people who are now going, oh, well, we should be sympathetic towards Dylan Mulvaney. And I've got to say, I'm just not of that mindset. Sure, it is sad that this person has mental illness and whatnot, but they still repeatedly choose to put themselves out on social media to respond to people and to attend lectures at, do lectures at universities. So without further ado, let's get into Dylan Mulvaney. Okay, so Dylan Mulvaney went to Penn State University. And in this, he did an interview where he revealed how, I can't stand how the Daily Mail uses this pronoun, but he did not speak to his mother for 6 months during his transition while giving guest lecture to a half-empty auditorium at Penn State. Okay, so just a quick synopsis said trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney shared his journey during a recent lecture at Penn State, revealing a period of estrangement from his mother. Now, that is always so sad. I hate hearing all these stories from transgender activists who will time and time again say, oh my gosh, like I didn't talk to my mom. I cut my family off in favor of my transition. And that's clearly what's happening in this scenario. Dylan Mulvaney has opted to choose a transgender lifestyle over family. And that's not easy for either person involved, but I just always read these heartbreaking stories from parents about how difficult it is to watch their child go through something like this, where they change their body and they don't act like themselves, and they're perfectly fine cutting their family who's done everything and been there for them and supported them off from people, which is so sad. But also, it's got to be extra difficult for this mom when your child isn't just going through this in silence, but going through this at such a public level. Such a public level. I mean, Dylan Mulvaney is everywhere, and he chooses to continue to be there, by the way. So this story speak. Just like from a PR point of view, like whoever's doing Dylan's PR really failed him on this one. The number one thing when you're doing one of these speaking events is like get a smaller room so it looks more full and it looks like the attendance is bigger. It's like a number one rule of this kind of stuff. I don't know why that rule of engagement wasn't explained to Dylan Mulvaney. And then it goes on to say, Mulvaney, sporting a Penn State jacket, led a Penn State chant and shared that despite his challenging transition, he's now focusing on aspirations in theater. And that has always been the number one criticism of Dylan Mulvaney, is that he wasn't getting enough recognition as a gay man, so he opted to become a transgender woman, and that was how he was going to galvanize attention, which has been largely successful. I think it's a little bit of a conspiracy theory to say that. I don't think that anybody can understand or like think that far in the future. I certainly never thought when I was doing underreported stories, which is kind of what blew me up on TikTok, that I would be in this position live streaming today. You know, all those years ago when I started making TikTok videos, I don't know if a decision like this was necessarily made with the same deviance that we make it out to be. I think it's different when you're talking about transgender athletes. Like, they know what they're doing. They understand there are obvious consequences, but Dylan Mulvaney couldn't rig the algorithm. But rigging the algorithm is, I think, a little bit of what TikTok did in terms of helping Dylan Mulvaney. Like, they helped Dylan Mulvaney catapult to fame because TikTok and the TikTok algorithm favors this garbage. But then you actually take Dylan Mulvaney to campus, and you know he's giving a lecture to a half-empty auditorium because he's not actually popular offline. Most people are just making fun of him online, so it's difficult. You know, obviously these these social media outlets are bolstering him, and then conservative commentators spend all day just crapping on him. They obviously bolster him as well currently. So yeah, let's keep reading this article though. It says, Mulvaney discussed his struggles and dreams to a small crowd of Penn State students Friday evening, emphasizing his passion for theater and his upcoming one-woman show, of course, because he doesn't want the attention on anybody else. The event, funded by student fees, faced low attendance. We got that. Mulvaney, sporting a Penn State jacket, led a Penn State chant and shared that despite his challenging transition and controversy with Bud Light promotion, he's now able to focus on his career, which is interesting. It's just interesting the way that this has gone about. This is how empty the stadium was. Like, there were only a couple of people, and this was funded by students who agree with this or not. They have to fund this. And I think that that's odd, right? I don't understand why in the world anyone would go to this. But there were some funny comments I'm seeing now. I haven't read this at all. This says, he can't imagine his audience like he imagines his gender, one user said. Somebody else said, oh, well, I'm sure the venue identifies as sold out. Oh my gosh, that's mean but funny. And this is important because this is a question I was going to raise, is how much money did Dylan Mulvaney make in speaking fees and how many students RSVP'd? It's so interesting because there was initially this RSVP waitlist scenario, and then it just went away. It's very weird. I'm not going to deny it. It's very odd the way in which, people galvanize Dylan Mulvaney online. And then what in the world is going on here, you guys? Apologies. For some reason, I don't have access to moving my screen. I'm just stuck in this bubble. Nope. Okay. It was just my software was giving out on me for a second. Anyway, I do just find it odd the way that the internet has galvanized Dylan Mulvaney, but then, he goes to an event. There we go. I was saying, I just find it weird that people galvanize Mulvaney in the way that they do. Like, they're so obsessed with him, but like, why? He's not that interesting. I see May's page said Dylan needs to create his own beer. I don't think I would want that. I don't think I would drink that. Alex, hey, it's good to see you again. I said Bud Light is never coming out of the hole they dug themselves into, so he can keep that. Oh, for sure. Like, I mean, he has this forever. But Dylan Mulvaney now lives separate infamy for me. I did post this on Twitter, so let me pull this up on Twitter so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But I finally understand what it's like to be culturally appropriated. I've heard this term before. So if you don't know what cultural appropriation is, it's just this idea that we as white people cannot wear a sombrero because it's cultural appropriation. It's taking someone else's culture and appropriating it. And so I would just like to point out that Dylan Mulvaney in his tube top and cheerleading skirt, that is my culture, Dylan Mulvaney, okay? You are culturally appropriating me. I finally understand what it's like to be culturally appropriated. And you know what? My culture is not your costume, Dylan. I had to laugh about it. I think it's so funny. I mean, come on. The differences. This is what real women look like, though. We drink in college. Some of us do. And you get a little pudgy stomach. And, like, we don't look like men, tiny little men with, like, fake hair and all of this. We have real hair and little pigtails. So I did think it was funny. The pigtails and all, Dylan Mulvaney and I just seemed to match on this one. And, my culture is not your costume. You cannot and should not make fun of, being a state college girl. I don't know. I thought that was so funny. I thought it was so witty with that one, you guys. You have no idea. I see we have somebody from the hellhole that is Canada. Hello, fellow Canadian. Happy to have you here. So that is that with Dylan Mulvaney. I know you guys are into him on the level of, like, you understand that he is very, very involved in Bud Light and helped bring down Bud Light. But this dude is, like, it's just the beginning. He's going to be everywhere. Him and I and Isabel, we are all the same age, which is just mind-boggling, right? Like, we think about each other, Isabel and I, and we're like, wow, we have, like, a whole lifetime ahead of us. And it's like, oh, my gosh, that means so does Dylan Mulvaney. And it's frightening. Is it not frightening? It's frightening, for sure. Okay. Let's get into some other things with the 30-ish minutes we got left. So there's my British accent again, guys, my fake British accent. Okay, so let's talk about this next story, which if you have not heard about it, I'm going to give you just a quick little insider information, okay? So there's a woman named Susanna Gibson, and she was running for Congress. Or I believe maybe it was state senate. It was Congress, yeah. It was definitely Congress, sorry. In Virginia. So congressional seat in Virginia. And I can't say it without laughing. She was very upset when public sex tapes that she put out were posted all over the internet, even though she herself posted them. And the sex tapes were with her husband. And they're not like quiet thing. Like, these are things she put out, right? Okay, so this is crazy. So Politico has gone back and tried to rewrite history with this little number, tweeting posting this article. Her online sex life was exposed. She's lost her election. Now she's speaking out. Susanna Gibson's campaign was rocked when an opponent exposed her private digital life to the public. She won't be the last. Nope. She got this glowing profile because she's a Democrat, first off. Second off, she exposed herself, okay? This was not private. When you put something out on a platform like OnlyFans, that is not private. That is available to anybody with a credit card, anybody with, a coupon for a free membership, anybody with a computer at this point. There's nothing private about putting porn out on the internet. Nothing. Nada. Zip. Zero. Zilch. Okay? Nothing. So, no. I don't believe this. I just think this is hilarious. This woman is feigning being a victim because she put her sex life out there and then lost an election after people didn't want to vote for a porn star? Am I getting that right? I don't even know. I can't believe it's right, but like what I'm saying is correct. That is what happened. It's very, very weird the way that this woman is attempting to rewrite history because she wants to believe that, I don't know, she's some sort of victim for this. You're not a victim for this, girl. You are the furthest thing away from a victim. Okay? Yeah. Alex says it's literal clown world. Alex, you are right, my friend. This is literal clown world. You have no clue how clownish this world truly is when people start saying ridiculous things like I'm the victim for putting out my own pornography and then other people find it and expose them. Like, it's not a misogynist thing. It's not. It's not some sort of really difficult, complex, is it misogynistic, is it sexist, blah, blah. It's not. It's actually really clear cut. Like, you put your own porn out there, you're going to have to deal with the consequences. That's been a rising thing, though, in the Democratic Party, is just failure to understand consequences. I was listening to a great podcast all about consequences of actions for students, such as, students who are tearing down posters. We have actually finally seen repercussions for that. So NYU, New York University, has actually suspended a student who was there on scholarship for tearing down posters of Israeli victims who are captured by Hamas in Israel. And it's very fascinating to watch, the university actually have consequences for students' actions. And I mean, she vandalized. She took down posters of innocent people. And I'm just like, this is awesome that this is like, there are consequences for your action. And I think people think that, we want to hold up free speech. Don't get me wrong. Like, if this woman, she has the freedom to talk about her sex life, but like, you can't just say, oh, I want to do this or I deserve to do this, and then not really deal with the consequences of your actions. Like, you put out porn, there are consequences. You tear down posters of Israeli hostages, there are consequences. I don't understand this world that we live in where people think that your actions are consequence free just because you're on one side of the political spectrum. I don't know about you guys, but that is certainly how it feels to me. Like, one side of the political spectrum thinks that there is no consequence for their actions, but there should be 1,000 consequences for people like myself, or maybe like you guys, for having the wrong view, or having a view, wrong view, I say that jokingly, but a view that they don't necessarily agree with. It's very frustrating. Am I right? Very, very frustrating. Yeah. If you guys are in the chat, by the way, will you drop me what you did this weekend? I don't know if you guys heard, speaking of insanity, I live in Nashville. That's where I live. And I don't know if you guys heard about these crazy tornadoes that ripped through. It was wild, friends, like really wild. I was at my church getting ready to set up for our Christmas service on a Saturday night, because we start Christmas early because we're a very transient city here. So people aren't actually here on Christmas weekend. So we do this big Christmas production. It was so fun. We were getting ready to set up, and all of a sudden I just hear, wah, wah, wah. And it wasn't even the tornado sirens going off. It was all of our phones together going off. They were exploding, and we all had to go take cover in the basement, trapped in the church for an hour. And thank the good Lord in heaven, everybody in my friend group, like everybody I know, is okay. But there were some houses ripped apart. There were people in their cars who passed away because a tornado ripped through the highway system. So it's really sad. So if you have a minute to, say a prayer for the people of Nashville, we could really, really, really use that right now. I see a comment from Gary Upchurch. I've not read it yet, but I'm going to read it really quick. It says, always enjoyed Isabel's Gen Z perspective on Getter platform. Most seem to have moved somewhere. What am I missing? Can someone direct this boomer to the best platform I'm searching? Thanks. Oh, Gary, there is no one best platform yet. I think they're all still in the work. But I do know that Isabel advocates for using a ton of different programs. So she's available on her own website, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Getter, Twitter. She uses them all to reach the most people. And I think that's a very Gen Z POV. Alex also said locals is the best. Okay, cool. Thanks for helping each other out. I love that. Franklin, you know who Isabel is. She's the wonderful and fabulous typical host of this show. I am just simply the fill-in. But if you ever do want to watch my videos, which are typically, for better lack of a word, unhinged, you can follow me over at Chrissy Clark. You just type in The Reaction with Chrissy Clark or Chrissy Clark, and I'm here for you. Red 4, you said you're on leave in Mount Juliet. I saw that storm. I'm pretty sure I heard the tornado at one point. Oh my gosh, I'm glad you're okay. It's wild. It was crazy. Where I live, there was a tornado. The tornado hit my neighborhood when I was living here. Oh my gosh. It's so crazy that happened. And then Nathan said, does Isabel have any plans to work for Daily Wire? How about you? Actually, I already worked at Daily Wire. I worked there for about 8 months in 2021. And then Isabel, I can't say for her. She just has an awesome platform now. So I think she's really happy where she's at. But she can answer that when she gets back. I don't want to speak for her. But I'd love to see her wherever she is. I'm always following her. So she goes to Daily Wire, I'll follow her. She comes to Daily Caller, we'll follow her. You know what I mean? It's like she's so fun to watch. Wherever she goes, she's going to be successful. But anyway, we'll get back to more viewer Q&A when in a little bit. But I do want to go into our next story for sure because it's an interesting one, y'all. Just when we were talking about, free speech and things you can and can't say. Yes, you can't cancel porn stars for putting out porn, but you can fail students on their quizzes for saying that men can't get pregnant. That is correct. That's interesting. It's very interesting. I'm not even shocked. Like, are you shocked? So these are the questions, as you can see. One says, only women can get pregnant. True. Wrong. Question 4. All men have wee-wees. True. Nope, that's false. In what world? Literally in what world? Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's read the story. It's from the awesome Jason Rantz, who is a Fox News contributor, also hosts the Jason Rantz Show from 3 to 7 p.m. on KTTH in Seattle. Sorry. He wrote this article and it reads, an activist history teacher failed a Seattle student on a quiz for saying only women can get pregnant and only men have wee-wees. Yeah, that's crazy. That's absurd. This is not a class that's interested in learning about reality. It's a class that's interested in promoting ideology, right? This says, a 10th grade ethnic studies world history teacher at Chief South International High School in Seattle gave students a quiz titled Understanding Gender versus Sex. The quiz provided a series of statements to label true or false, or questions with multiple choices. Many of the questions focused on personal pronoun use. When someone uses they, them pronouns, what does that mean about their gender identity or assumptions one may make about gender identity? True or false, transgender people are gay. 2 questions, however, are objectively false, but students are taught the opposite. So let's try to answer these questions for the fun of it, okay? One of the questions focused on personal pronoun use. It reads, When someone uses they, them pronouns, what does that mean about their gender identity? I don't know what it means about their gender identity, but I do know what it means about their mental state. And it's unwell. Truly unwell. It's not good. I cannot believe that is a real question on a test. I think that this would be, this is an incredible, insane story. But when they're multiple choice and students can explain their answer, that's one thing, because then students can say they probably identify as, as some sort of transgender. And, it gives students room to write answers but still hold their beliefs, because the answer to that is simple. When someone uses they, them pronouns, they identify as something other than he or she. While I think it's annoying and we shouldn't even be having this test in the first place, you can answer that question without subverting your conscience, right? You're subverting your conscience if you answer only women can get pregnant false, or all men have wee-wees false. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're subverting your conscience by doing that. And that's what I find to be frustrating. So when you have, questions that are at least you can answer, it's something, it makes it a little better. One of the assumptions one may make, this is another one, a true or false one. Transgender people are gay. Okay, why is that a true or false question for 10th grade ethnic studies? It is not a different ethnicity to be transgender. Oh my gosh, these kids should be learning about ethnic studies of the world, and maybe they should be talking about like the Israel-Palestine subject, so that all these kids don't come out of high school and think that Palestinians are being oppressed from their native land or some bullshit like that. They should be learning about reality, and instead they're being asked true or false transgender people are gay. Good God. It's so weird. No, if you had to answer this, if you're a kid, how do you answer this? False, right? That's the right answer. Transgender people are gay. Not all transgender. I know I grew up next to somebody who identifies as transgender, and he's a biological man now who only likes women. So he's straight. He's not gay, but he identifies as a woman. It's very confusing, but it shouldn't be on a child's test. Let's keep reading. It says, question 4 was a true or false question. The teacher claims women can have a penis. Similarly, question 7, says, or the teacher says, men can get pregnant, which is very interesting. Very interesting. A little pop quiz. Turns out that the district, though, defended this politically motivated quiz. So Seattle Public Schools, through a spokesperson, defended the quiz as inclusive, arguing it was appropriate for an ethics studies course. Will you guys light up the comments? Do you think that this is appropriate? And what would you do if you were in this situation? Okay? Start lighting them up, and let's talk about it, okay? Give me 1 second. I need some water. Some agua. All right. Let's discuss. So I'm going to read the comments. Gary said it means confused. Damon, thank you so much for the super chat. You said these militant teachers are engaging in humiliation rituals, getting children to deny reality. Paul Pot and Mao did the same. Yes. Thank you so much for pointing this out. They are engaging in humiliation rituals. They are essentially trying to beat out any questions that young children might have about this and forcing this as a reality down the throats of children, so that kids learn at a young age that this is the reality that they live in, right? So this is 100% the same, and you're right. Paul Putt and Mao, they did do the same thing. It's disturbing. So thank you so very much for writing in on that. And if anybody else has super chats, I know Isabel and I would really appreciate them. Nathan says, as a college student, I've already experienced in a similar way. Had a history instructor include LGBTQ in every lecture and constantly was telling me that my work was not inclusive of Black people. It's always so interesting when people say that. It's like, when people say like your work is not inclusive of a certain type of people, it's like not everything can be inclusive. There have to be things that are, you're just talking about something for the sake of talking about the merit of something. But that's considered exclusive nowadays. And it's so odd. It's very odd. You should be able to have a conversation about history, even if it excludes white people, or even if it excludes Jewish people, or even if it excludes black people. And then you can have a different conversation about what it's like with those people or without those groups of people. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can have a conversation about literally anything, and it's not up to your professor to decide what's good and what's not good. It's so weird to me that everything has to be inclusive nowadays, and you can't have conversations about the merits of something, right? Yeah. I see Timmy John saying inclusive is always exclusive. It is. It's always exclusive of people that they don't like, which is just so weird. And by they, I mean like the elitist higher ups at colleges, right? They're so annoying. Timmy also said, most of the world looks at crap like this and wonders how they can follow anything this country puts out. It's so true. It's so true. The good thing is our country, I mean, not the good thing, but the bad thing, but also the good thing is that like our country doesn't put out crap anymore. Literally at all. Our country puts out nothing of importance anymore. We don't even bother trying to put out things of importance. Especially my number one gripe with this country is we should be doing medical, like just studies after studies after studies on this transgender, really, what's the correct word I want to use? Contagion of a sort, but it's not contagious. It's a social contagion. We should be doing research on this, and yet we don't. We don't do any research on it at all, and it's so sad. Nathan continued to say, he said, he always found a way to relate whatever the topic was to LGBTQ, and like how World War II, for example, relates to lesbians or trans. And it's like, what the F? I don't even know. It's so weird how people only view things through this inclusive lens. And what you should know is that almost everything when it comes to this agenda is tied to money. So, for instance, your professor is likely getting a grant. I would look it up if I were you. I bet you he's getting a grant to do studies on LGBTQ topics. And so he's just learning all day and all night, focusing on, making this a thing, making this LGBT thing, this whole LGBT ideology a thing. So that's why he's probably doing it. Follow the money. The money is always the answer to this kind of stuff. It always is. Okay. I do want to move on to our next topic, which is, it's crazy actually. We're going to watch a clip together, but before we do, I want to give you a little backstory. So Netflix has a new film called Leave the World Behind, and it is produced in part by Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, like the whole Obama crew. And this film, again called Leave the World Behind, includes a scene that overtly demonizes white people. It says, we'll watch it, and I'll show you the clip, but Libs of TikTok put this out and was saying that, white people are really the only group you're allowed to be racist towards, and this movie is really no exception. So let's pull this movie up because it's just interesting to take a look at over racism. So let's watch as a group.
I'm asking for you to remember that if the world falls apart, trust should not be doled out easily to anyone, especially white people. Even Mom would agree with me on that. I'm asking for you.
That's weird, right? Like, that's weird. It wasn't necessary. It didn't add to the movie at all. At all. I'll be really frank with you guys. I don't mind if you're talking about, black versus white, slavery, oppression. When you're talking like about a historical subject, it really doesn't bother me. It doesn't. If it was historically accurate, That's totally fine. This has nothing to do with history. This is just about disgusting narratives that people push out. Just disgusting narratives that people push out. It's for some reason considered verboten to say, don't be racist to white people, but it's completely awesome to have a Black Lives Matter sign in your classroom and push this phrase, white people are bad. It's woke. That's exactly what the definition of woke is, and it's weird, okay? It's very, very weird that we put this out and we expect people to just not be offended or not have feelings about it. So what do you guys think about this? Drop some comments. Are you surprised by the Obamas? Are you surprised that, they put this out so blatantly? Like, because the film, it's like, it would have been fine if she just said, I'm asking you to remember, I'm looking at the words right now, that if the world falls apart, trust should not be doled out easily to anyone. Period. You didn't have to add, especially to white people. That's pointless. It doesn't add anything at all. I don't understand the point. Franklin said, LOL, so blatant. It is so blatant. And Red 4 said, LOL, and this guy was looked at as the great uniter. Yeah, sure. He united people around hating other people. He united people around tribalism. Yeah, Red said, surprise, not even a little bit. You guys, I'm not surprised either at all, but I do think that these, love them or hate them, Obama is incredibly influential, specifically to millennials and Gen Z, maybe less Gen Z, but definitely millennials. And he has a big impact on them. And the fact that he's in movies, and he's not just in politics, but he's going outstream to all of these institutions that really do capture and have more influence on your day-to-day life and putting these thoughts in people's heads. I mean, these thoughts already exist, but to normalize them, it's so bad. Franklin's talking about, think about 2008 to now. We had racial relationships in this country that people writ large thought were so good. And then all of a sudden Obama came into play and it was just the worst thing in the world, right? All of a sudden race relations were at an all-time low. It's awful. It's just very, very, very scary. I do see some other comments, about previous subjects, and we'll get into that at the end of the show. If you absolutely want to talk about it, we will get to it at the end. But for now, let's stick to the Obamas. And I guess I'll leave a parting thought on the Obamas of I'm just so disappointed that they opted to use their influence for such clear-cut race baiting. It's really pathetic. They know what an outsized influence they have, and instead of being uniters, of putting out good work, of spending their fortune, picking and helping people understand how to be the best versions of themselves and not be oppressed victims, instead they work on Netflix films that demonize people based on their race. That is overt racism. I don't think you fight racism with racism. That's just my opinion. And I'm sure y'all feel the same. So drop a comment if you agree. So let's get into our final story. Oh, Alex, you touched on the thing I almost left off before we got to our next story. Michelle Obama. She's hated by the Zoomers forever and ever for ruining school lunch. Yes. She's a bitch for taking away our chicken nuggets. I'm sorry. I know I'm not supposed to curse on this live stream, but it's true, okay? Don't take the tendies away. Don't take my tendies, okay? You could do a lot of things, okay? You want to take those nasty Bosco sticks away from people? I don't care. You want to make I don't even know. You want to take the paper bags away or the plastic bags away and give us paper bags? I'm fine with it, But you take my straw and you take my tendies, and I mean, this is how countries start wars. No, I'm being dramatic and funny. Obviously, I'm not going to start a war over this. But come on. My tendies, Michelle, for real? Oh, I know everyone else feels the same way as me. I cannot possibly be alone. Gen Z unite over Michelle Obama taking our attendees. Let's get her. No, I'm kidding. All right, let's get to our last story before I start a revolution. All right. This is not really so much of a story as I just wanted to scroll through the Babylon Bee because there was a lot that happened over the weekend and I just wanted to laugh. And I figured that'd be a great way to end the stream was just laughing with you guys. And anyway, I'm just reading some of the comments that you guys are like uniting with me against. It's so funny. Okay. Let's get into some of these Babylon Bee headlines. This one says, powerful. SNL makes unfunny sketch to show that anti-Semitism is no laughing matter. And obviously, if you guys did not see this already, SNL did a skit making fun of the presidents of Harvard, UPenn, and MIT for, being quite frankly anti-Semitic, and Liz McGill has since stepped down from her position, and they're saying, Babylon Bee is saying they made an unfunny sketch that shows that anti-Semitism is no laughing matter because literally no one in the audience was laughing at these losers. Absolute losers. That's what they are, okay? Anyway, let's see what else we got. We have after back-to-back losses, Chiefs replaced Taylor Swift with Selena Gomez. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's kind of funny. What else we have? If you guys see anything that, stand out. This is funny. It says, children on best behavior after Santa announces naughty kids now receive The Marvels on Blu-ray. I don't know if any of you guys are into the Marvel universe, but I've just heard that the new ones are very woke, they're very losery, they're not the best, and that is pretty funny that instead of getting a lump of coal, they're now getting the loseriest movies out there. I mean, that would motivate me. It really would. Oh my gosh. What else is there? The Bee just always has some of the funniest stuff. Buzzing. Ousted UPenn. Let's see this. I'll pull up the Liz one. This one says, ousted UPenn president Liz McGill lands new gig at Hamas Institute of Technology. This is so funny. Oh, I love that they just do such good work. This is the UPenn president. Oh my gosh, it's so funny because these people are crazy. They were literally essentially doing the bidding of Hamas. And now, we're making fun of her by saying she's going to work at HIT instead of MIT, which is just chef's kiss, perfection, comedy. This one also says, UPenn president lights special. Please don't pull that $100 million donation. Nora! I believe if you guys were on the stream, I streamed Friday with this video about UPenn president's apology. We went through it, so you guys can go back and take a look if you haven't already seen it. But this is so funny. She did this a whole groveling apology video, and it's so lame. No one needs your apology video. And then this is making fun of her saying oh, the president lights, so please don't pull your $100 million donation menorah. But she's gone anyway. I see from Crazy Cat Lady said, we starved at school because of her. Literally starved? What's going on? And deranged left-winger said she'll be promoted for her racism. She'll probably get a job at some organization that's cool with anti-Semitism. That wouldn't surprise me, in the slightest. At all. So, no, I wouldn't be shocked by that either. Anyway. All right, I think that's enough Babylon being. With the last 2 minutes we have, I want to take a look at your guys' questions if you had any. I saw a couple. Let's see what we got. I saw this one from Gary. You said your grandson has a 4.0 academic athletic track and field scholarship and a 5-year CPA program, all 4-point classes except for undergrad class requiring him to conform to professor's ideology. Dropped at threat of failure. Good. good for your son for standing up for, or your grandson for standing up for his ideology and his beliefs. Like, I think that's awesome. I would 100% do that. I never back down. And honestly, my teachers were more afraid of me than anything. They knew I was going to write about it in Campus Reform, which is a conservative news outlet. They knew that I was involved with it. So anytime they would even threaten to give me a lower grade, I just write an article about it, and all of a sudden I would have a perfect grade. So I don't know if that makes me a good person or a bad person, but I never failed a class for that because I didn't conform my morals. And then I wrote about it because it was exposing teachers' inability to grade conservatives properly. And it seemed to work out pretty well. Graduated with a 4.0 from college. So, mind you, I went to Michigan State, so it's not like I went to a frickin' Ivy League, but still. Jessica said, Ryan Fournier was recently arrested and charged with assault with a deadly weapon for allegedly striking his girlfriend in the forehead with a gun. Yikes. I do not know anything about this. I have not heard anything about this. And so I don't want to talk about a subject I know literally nothing about. Not at all. I mean, I think I follow the guy on Twitter, but oh my gosh. I mean, if that's true, it's awful. But I honestly don't know anything. So, Jessica, I can't make a comment on that. Nathan, I heard you say that I earned myself a new subscriber. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you guys. And Timmy Johns, I see, first of all, I love your username. That's awesome. Yeah, mostly because Jimmy John's is my favorite place to eat subs, which could also be another great one. But you said she will be in the White House next. I'm assuming you're talking about Liz McGill. Yep, probably. Probably. I could see that. Yeah, this is awesome. Anyway, Alex, I see one last comment. You said, I was given a C in my English class because I wrote a paper on how gun control is dumb. Best paper I ever wrote. Yes, don't compromise your values. Don't ever, ever do it. Anyway, I have to wrap up the stream because it is my time. I had to go get back to my other regular job, but I wish I could just stay here and chat with y'all for the rest of the day. That would just be so fun, right? But anyway, this is my last stream for Isabel. Your wonderful and fabulous host will be back tomorrow, but if you do want to join me over on my channel, you can just type in Chrissy Clark and you'll be able to find me there. We do videos, we do streams here and there, and we'll also, we'll have opportunities to chat over there. Thank you so much for tuning into Isabel's show. I appreciate you guys, and we will see you, or Isabel will see you tomorrow. And I already know she's so excited. So see you guys next time. Bye.